Imagine a mirror that doesn't show your face as it is this morning. It shows your face in 30 years. For most people in Britain, in 2026, that reflection is walking toward a cliff edge with its eyes closed. So here is the reframe that changes everything. Panic is not your enemy. Panic is a system alert. It is the warning light on the dashboard of your life. And today, we are going to find the exact age where it should switch on. Because there is a moment, a specific decade, where the mathematics of your retirement stops being a gentle suggestion and hardens into a deadline. Before that age, time does the heavy lifting for you. After it, you do it yourself. Miss the alert, and you don't fail loudly. You fail quietly on some ordinary morning years from now, the moment the bank statement lands and the numbers simply refuse to add up. So let's run the countdown. 3 decades, 3 panic levels, and 1 manual override that can still change the ending. Let's start where the panic level is, honestly, 0. If you and your partner are in your 30s, you are living in the luxury of ignorance, and that is a good thing. At 30, your pension is not a forest. It is a single seedling. And here is the mistake people make. They look at that seedling, panic that it isn't a towering oak yet, and give up. But a seedling doesn't need a forest today. It just needs the soil kept wet. Time is the trade wind at your back, and at this age, the wind is at full strength. Even a small gust carries you an astonishing distance. Consider this. A contribution of just £50 a month, left alone in your 30s, is worth vastly more at retirement than the same £50 started in your 50s. Not because you saved more, but because the wind blew on it for longer. This is the quiet magic of compounding, and it only works in one direction, forwards, with time. So, in your 30s, the instruction is almost embarrassingly simple. Water the soil, turn on the auto-enrolment, nudge the contribution up by 1% when the pay rise lands. You do not need to feel the wind for it to be working. You just need to be standing in it. Now the countdown ticks into the 40s, and the wind begins, subtly, to change. This is the alert phase, the decade of fiscal drag. Your earnings are peaking. You are finally being paid what you are worth. But this is precisely when HMRC starts pruning your success. As your salary climbs, more of it crosses into the higher tax band, and the taxman quietly takes a larger share of every raise. Your income is growing, but the part you keep is growing slower. That is fiscal drag, and in your 40s it works against you every single month. So here is the checkpoint, the number to be honest with yourself about. By your mid-40s, a couple should be looking at a combined pension pot of at least £150,000. Reach that, and the trade wind is still filling your sails. Fall short of it, and the wind is starting to die down. Not gone, but weakening. The runway is shortening. The 40s are still forgiving. You have 15, maybe 20 years of growth ahead, which is enough time for the market to do real work on your behalf. But this is the decade to stop drifting and start steering. Every extra pound you sacrifice now still catches a strong tailwind. Wait until the next decade, and that same pound arrives with barely a breeze behind it. The alert light is on. It is amber, not red, but it is on. And now we hit the age where the panic is real, and it is mathematical. The 50s. This is the mathematical wall. If you are 55 and your total pot sits under £200,000, understand this clearly. The era of passive enrolment is over. Quietly letting the workplace scheme tick along in the background will not save you now. Here is the metaphor that matters most. Retirement is not a finish line, it is a 30-year climb at altitude, and a climb like that runs on oxygen. Your pension, your SIP, your self-invested personal pension is the oxygen tank strapped to your back. At 50, you can finally see the summit. You can picture the last day at the desk, but if that tank is only a quarter full, the mountain does not care how clearly you can see the top. You will run out of breath, you will run out of cash flow, while you are still miles from the finish, with nothing but thin air ahead. And here is the cruel part of the mathematics. After 50, you lose the wind. The timeline is now too short for market growth to rescue you. In your 30s, growth did the heavy lifting. In your 50s, your own contributions do. What you put in now matters more than what the market does, because the market simply doesn't have enough years left to compound it. This is why 55, under £200,000, is not a worry. It is an alarm. But, and this is everything, an alarm is not a verdict. So what are we actually aiming at? Let's put real numbers on the summit. The full new state pension in 2026 pays roughly £548 a year per person. That is your base camp, the floor, not the goal. On top of that, the Pensions and Lifetime Savings Association sets the benchmarks. A modest minimum retirement for a single person costs around £13,400 a year. For a couple, about £21,600, which two full state pensions can very nearly cover on their own. But a comfortable retirement, that is £45,400 a year for one person and £62,700 for a couple. The gap between surviving and living is the gap you are climbing to close. Because panic, remember, is just a prompt. It is the signal to switch off the autopilot and take the manual override. So here are the 4 levers, and they are more powerful than most people realize. Lever 1, salary sacrifice. This is how you claw back the tax that Fiscal Drag has been taking from you. If you are a higher rate taxpayer, every pound above the threshold is being taxed at 40%. Salary sacrifice lets you divert that money into your pension before HMRC ever touches it. So instead of the taxman taking 40%, the full amount goes straight into your oxygen tank. You are not finding new money. You are simply redirecting money you are already losing. Lever 2, the ISA bridge. For couples who want to stop working before the state pension age of 67, there is a gap to cross, the years between retiring and the state money arriving. A pension is locked until 57, but an ISA is not. So you build a bridge, a pot of ISA savings, designed purely to carry you across those early years, tax-free, until your pension and your state pension come online. It turns, I have to work until 67 into, I can choose to stop at 60. Lever 3, the downsize pivot. For many couples in their 50s, their largest asset isn't their pension at all, it is the family home, but that is dead equity. It is wealth you cannot spend, sitting in bricks, whether that's in the home counties or anywhere else. The downsize pivot means, at the right moment, moving to a smaller home and unlocking that trapped value, converting dead equity into a liquid future you can actually draw on. Lever 4, the strategic couple. In retirement, partners can income split, arranging drawdown so that both people use their full personal allowance rather than one person paying higher tax, while the other wastes their tax-free band. Balance the income across 2 sets of allowances, and a couple can save in the region of £4,000 a year in what I call invisible tax. Over a 20-year retirement, that is a small fortune reclaimed simply by structuring who draws what. So let's return to that mirror. The reflection is not fixed. Panic was never the problem. Panic was just the prompt for a manual override. Here is the truth about the British system. Left to run on default, it is designed to hand you a modest survival. A roof, food, the basics covered, and very little more. If you want a comfortable life, the holidays, the freedom, the choices, nobody hands you the scaffolding. You have to be the architect of it yourself. That is what every lever we've covered really is. Scaffolding, built on purpose, in time. So find your age on the countdown, notice which light is on, and then reach for the override, because true freedom in retirement isn't complicated to define. It is simply this: a pot that is finally larger than your anxiety. If this video helped, like and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.